In the months after wildfires ravaged parts of Maui, a burgeoning crisis began to appear. The desperate search for clean, safe, and dependable housing for those who were displaced. But it has not been an easy process. Hundreds of complaints have been lodged. In our latest edition of Maui 808, our Maria Villarreal looks into accusations of wrongful evictions, raised rents, and more, as so many still look to FEMA for help finding a long-term place to live.
This is Charles Nahali's fifth move since being displaced by the Lahaina fire last August.
Eliminate all short-term rentals. Eliminate all of that.
We first met him back in September during a community meeting, and more than 8 months later, he's still fighting.
It's unsettling. It really is. It's still living a bit of the trauma to this day.
Charles is one of more than 1,300 fire victims enrolled in FEMA's Direct Lease program, which converts short-term rental units into long-term housing for fire survivors for up to 2 years. So far, FEMA awarding contracts worth more than $197 million to 3 companies in states outside of Hawaii to administer the program. They find, lease, and manage ready-to-occupy properties from owners and then sublease them to displaced residents. As of early June, 1,041 units are occupied by fire survivors, but 177 units remain unoccupied while FEMA pays property owners and the management companies thousands of dollars a month per property.
They have to do a background check. I was told that it would take no more than 3 weeks to do. It took 3 months. They were paying for the unit, which was 3 months and over $5,000 a month, and the hotel I was in. No matter what I do, it just won't stop running.
When he saw that first property, he was heartbroken.
And the contract reflected something completely different from what the actual space of the unit was. For example, the space was a studio. The contract says it's a 1-bedroom and newly remodeled, which it wasn't. The bed was practically in the kitchen. Talk about breakfast in bed. So these 2 representatives and FEMA, they seem to put the fear of God in us, that if you don't take this property, you're going to be kicked out most likely, and you'll be on your own.
Charles was rematched to another property. His second, not any better than his first.
We're sitting at this table, 2 with FEMA representatives going over the contract. So 3 of us are sitting at this table. While we're sitting here, this piece of granite, this is stone, falls and breaks into 2 pieces. You can see the crack.
Rather than move again, FEMA assured Charles they'd make the necessary repairs.
All of these things were corroded, so you couldn't even open it up to get air inside. Look at that. It cracks because it's all termite eaten there, and you can see the termite droppings on the inside.
The management company fixing some of the issues, but not all. After our interview, Charles had to vacate his hotel shelter with a day's notice. The Red Cross stepping in to pay for the outstanding repairs on his FEMA unit, making it ready for Charles to move in. Timothy Putnam, known as Timster on the island, had to leave Lahaina to find housing.
So my direct lease effort didn't start till mid-February, and it was panic time. So it was like not looking good for me. I emailed Governor Green, and with his help and his people's help, maybe by the grace of God also, I got into the program March 6th.
So far, he's been matched 4 times to 4 different units.
The first unit was a cute little unit, but it didn't come up to code electrically. The second unit was horrifying, with rat-infested, blood and urine on mattresses, incredibly dirty. That was a super simple. I didn't have to say no to that one because the FEMA agents that were there, they were horrified as well.
He says he apprehensively took the third placement in Kihei, an hour-and-a-half commute to work.
I was instructed that I should clean it myself. And I should probably take it because I probably wouldn't find anything better. That was odd. So I was pressured.
Now he's battling rodents and insects, receiving word last week from FEMA they'd be relocating him again, closer to work. FEMA telling ABC all units require an inspection and we make sure the house is safe, livable, sanitary, and functional before anyone moves in. Still, he questions how sustainable living on Maui truly is and worries he'll have to move off island eventually.
Oh, it'll kill me. It'll be tough.
FEMA leaders admit they've had issues matching their inventory to family needs, like proximity to school and work, number of bedrooms, or accessibility.
So there are some circumstances where people have rejected the offer 3, 4, 5, even 6 times to go into housing. And that's a challenge, not because I don't understand. I do understand how difficult it is to have to commute at all. But many of these units, they simply have to be occupied.
Then, in late May, another development. Several property owners with FEMA contracts telling ABC News their rental agreements were suddenly terminated by the property management company working with FEMA because the unit had remained unmatched to an applicant. ABC News reached out to FEMA, but they declined an on-camera interview and could not confirm how many leases were ended. They did point out more than 1,000 people have been placed under the program, and 177 units are empty, ready for move-in. And 35 families continue to search for a match, they say. Still, residents say the community and local realtors have felt left out of the process. Narabun co-founded Maui Housing Hui, a nonprofit that educates the community on their rights.
This problem is probably the biggest issue that Maui has faced in decades, possibly. It comes down to the fabric of our community being shredded and changing every facet of it because people cannot afford to live here.
Her organization hearing from people not displaced by the fire, yet finding themselves homeless in its aftermath, as some landlords take advantage of the housing crisis.
Landlords that want to take advantage of this federal money and raise their rents are just either going radio silent or refusing to renew people's leases.
The Hawaii Attorney General's office confirming to ABC News they've received at least 227 complaints regarding these housing issues. 198 for violation of the emergency proclamation, like raising the rent, and 29 for wrongful evictions. 28 violations were corrected, and 37 investigations remain ongoing. FEMA also telling ABC News, our policy is clear. If we discover a landlord has inappropriately evicted a tenant in good standing so they may pursue a lease from FEMA, we will not work with that landlord.
With FEMA's payments of the rents, proposed payments of rents, in general throughout Maui County, our rents have doubled and sometimes tripled.
Governor Green stepping in.
Aloha.
Issuing a new emergency proclamation with added protections for tenants against landlords who attempt to raise rent or evict tenants.
It seems like the governor is listening, but we need him to close the other loophole. The biggest loophole is this termination of leases. That's the only way really to stop this bleeding that's happening.
The governor also announced plans to build temporary housing in Lahaina that is expected to be ready this year. Timster says he's grateful to FEMA that he has a roof over his head, no matter its flaws.
I guarantee they're doing as best they can. But a wise man once said the 10 most feared words in the English language are, I'm here from the government, I'm here to help.
But not everyone is as hopeful.
FEMA help ends in February of 2025, and they have us in places where the rents are so high. Every day it's getting a little closer, and you get into knots and wondering, how am I going to survive? What's going to happen now?
A number of unanswered questions at this point. Our thanks to Maria for that.